Is training legs even worth it? I would actually argue that for most guys, training legs is probably not worth it, and it can actually be a net negative on their time and energy. And I'm gonna go over all of the reasons why, you might want to train legs. I'm gonna break them down one by one. So, first reason, obviously, is training legs to look good, right? That's a big reason why we even go to the gym in the first place, is to improve the appearance of our physique. And to explain why training legs may actually be bad for your physique, I'm going to go over this concept of the V taper versus the X frame. So, in bodybuilding, there's these two types of physiques. The V taper, which is like the old school golden era physique, like, Arnold and Frank Zane from the 70s and 80s, where you have a V shaped upper body, but when it comes to the lower body, the quads stay in line with the hips, right? The legs stay in line with the hips, and the whole body forms a Y shape. So you can see the Y shape here. They actually intentionally did not overdevelop their quads. They made sure not to overgrow their legs so that they can stay in proportions. That is the old school V taper. On the other hand, there is the X frame, which is more of the modern bodybuilding, where again, the upper body, you have the V shaped upper body, but when it comes to the lower body, they did not um, restrict themselves in their legs, right? They did not restrict themselves to try and stick to the proportions. Instead, they just try to develop their legs as much as possible. And that creates the X frame, where the lower body actually sweeps outwards like this into an X. And the problem with the X frame is that when your legs get so big, it actually makes your lower body look wider, right? You can see how it looks wider. And in turn, it makes your upper body look more narrow, right? You can see here in the pictures, the V taper actually looks a lot more impressive because it's in proportion, right? It's proportional. The quads stay in line and the whole thing is like a Y shape. Whereas the X frame, the legs got so big that it actually looks pretty weird, and it makes the upper body look more narrow, which if you already have a narrow frame, narrow clavicles, is going to be something that you don't really want. So I'm not saying that you will get to this point, but your whole physique should be proportional, right? And the way you develop the proportion that you want is a Y-shaped upper body with uh, legs in line with the hips. So really, if you want to maximize your appearance, as long as your legs are in line with the hips, you basically have legs that are the perfect size. If you train legs any more than that, it can actually just ruin your proportions, particularly the quads and adductors. I should make a point. These muscles are particularly the quadriceps and the adductors, because the quadriceps, when you train the quads, it sweep outwards laterally like this, right? They sweep outwards. Whereas the adductors, when you train the adductors, they sweep inwards like this. But together, when you train the quads and adductors, they basically make your leg look wider from the front, and it'll make your whole lower body look wider from the front as well, which again, is throwing off your proportions. So if you're training to look good, your legs only need to be in line with the hips. Anything more than that, it's going to be unnecessary. And what was I going to say? And chances are, as long as your legs don't look skinny, that is maximizing your appearance when it comes to leg training, right? As long as they don't look skinny and they're in line with the hips, which chances are it's probably that for you right now, right? If it's skinny, then sure, train it. But if it's not and it's in line with the hips, then you don't actually need to train it. It's not going to be any improvement to your physique visually, and it can actually be detrimental, like I explained. And the reason for this is you have to look at the biological dimorphism differences between man and woman, right? Biologically, men carry more of their body mass on their upper bodies, like this. And biologically, women carry more of their body mass in the lower body, right? It's all proportional, which means that if you want to develop a body that looks the best, um, we want to play and accentuate into these dimorphic differences. So for a man, you would focus more on your upper body and try and make your upper body look proportionally larger to your lower body. And so same thing with a woman, right? If you see a girl with really muscular upper body and really small legs, that's going to look really weird and that's not going to be attractive at all. Maybe that's your thing. Maybe you're a homosexual and that's your thing. But for most men, that's not going to be it at all, right? A girl with really muscular shoulders and arms, it's not going to be very attractive. So for that same reason, you should be prioritizing, even if you don't want to skip your legs completely, you should be prioritizing your upper body way more, and it's going to do way more for your appearance. So that's the first point, training legs to look good. You don't need to train legs to look good. Once you get to the point where your legs don't look skinny and they're in line with your hips like this, you're basically maximizing your aesthetic benefits from training legs. So that's the first point. Second point is training legs for function. And to that, I have to ask, what function are you training for, right? Are you going to be squatting 400 pounds on a day-to-day basis? Are you a manual laborer? Are you carrying hay bale, or are you carrying bricks around all day? Because chances are you're probably not. And if you want to be more functional at a specific task, you'll be a lot better off just doing that specific task. And like I said before, right, if you're an athlete and you're training for your sport, this video does not apply to you. But right, if you want to get better at carrying hay bales, you'd be better off just carrying more hay bales, right? Training squats and leg curls is not going to really help that much. But really, right, training like squatting 400 pounds, it's not really a natural thing. And for sports, sure, but there's the best function that you're going to get, right? I should put it this way. The best function you're going to get from training in the gym is just the physical appearance benefits. That's the best function that you're going to get out of it. And like I mentioned earlier, right, you can really just maximize it without really training legs much at all. Right? Maybe you already have legs that look like this naturally, where they're not skinny and they fall in line with your hips. I know a lot of Asians, myself included, we're just naturally born with big legs. We're just naturally born with thick thighs. I had legs that look bigger than this um, before I even started training, albeit I was at a higher body fat percentage. But right, this whole functional thing is really just a cope. And maybe you just want to train legs to get better at fighting. For that, just join a fighting gym, right? Join an MMA gym, right? I've joined my local judo club, and I can say that how much you squat does not really matter that much. There are people who can't even squat like 2 plates, and they'll fucking destroy you in a fight. So if your goal is to be a tough guy, lift heavy, be a tough guy, stop coping, just join a fight gym, and stop trying to be a tough guy in the weight room. And lastly, this one's the most interesting, right? This one's going to be the most interesting. Training legs for fun. Now, I assume most of you are not going to be in this category, but if you are, then chances are there's going to be something wrong with you, because training legs, exercising itself is not fun, right? You're exerting yourself, you're stressing yourself, and you're actually hurting your body every time you work out. That's for a different topic. I made a separate video specifically on that. You can go watch. But when you exercise and work out, you're specifically hurting your body, but you're doing it for a trade-off. So when you train your upper body, right, you're stressing your body out. You're maybe aging yourself a little bit, but you're getting the benefits, the aesthetic benefits of having big shoulders, big biceps, which make you look good. But when you train lower body, when you train legs, it's like you're stressing yourself out. You're putting all this stress on your body and using all of your body's resources for no real benefit, right? For like we talked about earlier, it's not really going to benefit you in terms of your appearance. It's not really going to have any functional benefit. You're just carrying an extra 10 to 15 pounds of muscles in your legs for no reason and stressing yourself out every week, doing these squats or leg presses for no reason. And ideally, right, you don't actually want to carry that much muscle in your body, because when you carry, right, your body has a certain amount of muscle that it wants to carry, and you actually attain that natural amount of muscle by eating raw meat and organs. But when you artificially add these extra muscles into your body through training or even drugs, you're adding extra muscle that your body wasn't meant to handle. And when you add like 30, 40 pounds of extra muscle on your body on top of what you're naturally supposed to have, it's going to place a lot more stress on your heart, and it's going to age you and stress your whole body out. So ideally, you would actually want to maximize your aesthetics with as little muscle mass as possible, right? This sounds a bit weird, but when you maximize your aesthetics with as little muscle as possible, where you just focus on, let's say, the delts and the abs and the biceps, focus on specific areas that get the most bang for your buck instead of just slapping an extra 10 to 15 pounds on your legs, that's how you're going to maximize your longevity while still getting the most aesthetic benefits from training in the gym. So that's just my last point. And if you don't want bigger legs, just don't train for bigger legs, right? If you're happy with the size of your legs, then there's no reason why you should train it, right? There's literally no reason. If you train it, you're literally just harming your health and stressing your body and causing extra aging as well. But if you do want to have bigger legs, like I said earlier, right? Maybe your legs do look skinny, or maybe your legs don't fit into this staying in line with the hips description that I gave you as the standard, then here's how I would do it. It's a super simple routine. You do 1 to 2 sets of a leg curl. That's going to train the whole hamstrings. You do 1 to 2 sets of this leg press machine, right? You can use one leg if you have to because it can get a bit light. That's going to train the glutes, quads, and adductors. Then on the same machine, you do 1 to 2 sets of a calf press. That's going to train your whole calves. And if you do all of this, right, in order, it's going to be super fast. You're going to be able to train your entire lower body in like 15 minutes, depending on how many sets you do. If you only do one set, it can literally take less than 10 minutes, and you just do that twice a week. If you do 2 sets, then maybe it might take 15 minutes, maybe a bit more. But yeah, just do this. And if you're doing a full body workout, do the upper body first and then the lower body second. Lastly, private Discord server, right? If you're into black pill science-based training, I have private forums, exclusive content, and just basic Discord chat. You can go talk about stuff like this in the private Discord server. Link in the description. Go check that out as well. See you in the next video.